Greetings, SciFiction awesomeness. My name is Owen C. Cotter, and you're watching SciFiction digitally streaming, simulcasting on Facebook, Twitch, X, and YouTube. And we are also, if you're listening to this via audio version, on Subspace Radio Network, part of the Federation. We will be coming to you soon from more events, but right now we're doing live streams. We're going to be doing one today. We have some guests that will be joining us here within the next 10 minutes. One of the guests is director Michael O'Halloran and lead actress Ashlee Lollback from the awesome, amazing sci-fi film called Space Time, which just is being pushed out here in 2026. So we'll be talking with them about the awesome film they've got. We got a few news updates. We'll go over a few things here while we're kicking it. Let's go to the SciFiction website. I hope everybody's having a beautiful Friday afternoon. Happy weekend, everybody. Happy weekend. News updates. Just got this in. Stokerverse Dracula Dark Reign video game. Critics say Dracula finally done right. Now, this is a game that my client, I'm his agent, Chris McCauley's put together. Absolutely phenomenal game. It's based on actually the notes of Dr. Stoker got from his grandfather, Bram Stoker. So this is literally, Retro Gamer says, Dracula done right. It's like a literal continuation of Dracula, and this is the 8-bit video game form. Has kind of a Metroidvania-like feel, and you battle all the kind of stuff in Dracula's castle. It's called Dracula Dark Reign. You got to escape from the castle. There you go. A lot of news updates going on. Also, want to right quick before I forget. See if we get this thing. This is important. Let's see. I hope everybody's doing. Here we go. So that was some of the news items. But right quick before. I'm going to replace this screen sharing here. We want to thank our sponsor for today's broadcast, The Trek Whisperer. It's not about who you become it's about who you become on the journey, rather. His new book is It's Not About the Destination, Life Lessons from Star Trek by author Glenn Henderson. Here's Glenn Henderson. He's an amazing author. He does a lot of stuff with positivity. This particular book is a mission to help individuals and business leaders strive through using the principles of Star Trek. His work blends mindset training and intergalactic wisdom, offering a refreshing take on growth, purpose, and leadership. He does a lot of cool stuff. He's got 2 books out that reference Star Trek and inspire people to motivate their lives. That's Glenn. His website is thetrekwhisperer.com. So please feel free to check that out. He's an amazing guy. Highly recommend these books. They're awesome. I read the first one, and they're both very addictive books. The new one equally just takes it to another level and beyond. He's got some other stuff there on his site too. Check out. He's working on a podcast too, I believe. Lots of good stuff coming on. Replace screen sharing real quick here. Want to go back to the site. Today is Friday, January 16th, 2026 broadcast. Got a lot of good stuff going. We talked about the Dracula Dark Reign video game by Chris McCauley and Dr. Stoker. Created by, I believe it's a video game company. You may know this company called, let's get it here, down here, Incube 8, and developed by Spacebot Interactive, of all things. There you go. Very, very cool. We've got 5 most anticipated comic book releases of 2026. If you want to find out more about this, go to the SciFiction.com website. Netflix set sail with the rise of Barracus. Teaser for One Piece. They're going to be a One Piece live action on Netflix, live action series. New adventures of the expanding world building. As that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Season 4 officially announced. Star Wars Genesis buffs Starfield for PC players. It's a Starfield fan-made custom mod. It's an open world Star Wars universe. Batman gets company in Gotham for a new case. That's a cool one. For Detective Comics, I believe it's Detective Comics number 1107. Let me double check that. I'm curious. Yes, 1107 right here. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. Basically, they got Green Arrow's coming back and Black Canary to solve a case. Even Batman has trouble solving. So I highly recommend that article. So we got a whole bunch of comics. If you have not gone to the site, we have comics, anime, podcasts, interviews, television, movies, about everything from sci-fi, fantasy, superhero, sci-fi, steampunk, everything. But if you want to go shop sci-fi, pop culture memorabilia, we've got some goodies there for gifts for items coming up for probably your loved one for February 14th for Valentine's Day. It's the About section. New section sponsor. Anyone that wants to take advantage of our fan base, we love you fans. Thank you. 331,000 social followers, reaching, it's actually more now, 115,000 only on site. We reach millions a year. Thank you, the fans, for that, via all of our outlets and everything on the internet. Our audience is 65.8% US based, with a core demographic of men ages 25 to 44. It's a sweet spot. So, all the new stuff and all the old sci-fi and pop culture. These are our media kits. I'm going to go too much into selling you all this and being a salesman, but we have 331,000, actually 332. We just broke it today. I'm breaking into 333 soon. 1,000 awesome fans, and we reach all the stuff. Here's all the break demographic. Homepage banner real estate. If you want to have your company or you're an actor, whatever, you want to get that premium real estate to reach all the stuff you want to reach from all our fan base, $500 a month. Sponsored articles range this. These are the base of the breakdown. If you want to download this media kit, go to request media kit download, or you can go here and it's info@scifiction.com. We'll get to either Mars, me, or any of our assistants, and we usually respond within a 24-hour period, especially this because it's in a separate folder. So check that out. Got shops, all this. So we just tons of content coming in on all the digital channels. We've got, if you want to follow us on YouTube, YouTube's an important one. We're trying to build that follower base up. It's incredibly hard to get YouTube subscribers these days. As of YouTube's changed, it's basically trending. What you follow, it is recommended. So if you want to follow us on YouTube, go right here at SciFiction Official, all together, no dashes or spaces. You can shop some sci-fi stuff there. We are also on Facebook at SciFiction, COM, and X, and TikTok at SciFiction. We just broke, I believe we're about to break 43,000 on TikTok, so I really thank everybody for that. We love TikTok, Facebook, anything and everything that gets the word out about all the sci-fi goodies to provide quality content to you, the fans, because we love that. We're going to bring up screen mirroring here. I want to show you all something else right quick before our guests join the broadcast. We have, where is this? Let's see if we can find this. Well, it's right here on the site. Let's go back. So here on the site, we've got a lot of, we're going to be rotating these videos out periodically. We're getting ready to do about 9 events. Yes, 9 events over this next 8 months. We were going to be going to one out in Boston. We did not get to go to that yet because, first off, it's really cold out there. I love Boston, but man, it's cold. Looking to be going some here in and out all over the place, from the West Coast, the South Coast, East Coast, you name it, we're everywhere. And international. We are gearing up to do some more stuff in Europe, possibly some other things in other countries, or just gearing up. We sent one of our main senior corn contributors, Kieran, to Tokyo, Japan to Star Wars Celebration this past year. He also was at London MCM Comic-Con, which we're looking at having him back there as well. There's just so much good stuff to bring you, the fans. There's tons of content. I mean, look at all this content. And we're looking at possibly hiring a person that solely dedicates himself or herself to maybe 2 people, to board games and RPGs. We have a whole section here on games. We do a lot of stuff with the Magic at the Gathering seems to be doing a lot of new releases, including there's a Star Trek themed Magic at the Gathering in 2026 for the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. I thought was really cool. Very, very cool. Interview section. We're revamping some of this. We just put a beautiful presentation on my editor. Shout out to Evan Morton. Thank you so much, brother. He put this together. This is a full-blown, massive interview featured in-depth segment with all of the Otoy Roddenberry archive individuals, from Jules, the CEO, to all their developers. They're taking the Roddenberry legacy, all the stuff that Gene Roddenberry created from the starships, creating them in full rendered 4K ultra high def VR. And you can walk around the ships, pick up artifacts. It's basically a museum of sorts, literally a museum of, and this was an exhibition they had at STLV 59. So it was a lot of work putting this video together. It was a passion of love for us to record and get. And Evan spent quite a while doing it. He's been working on Dancing with the Stars. If you have not seen that in the podcast, check that out. It's on YouTube. It's absolutely amazing. He's the production for that, as well as he's got a new documentary out called Folsom's Run. So I recommend checking that out as well. But yeah, we've got all kind of goodies here. Anime. We lit this up about 2 years ago, and the anime section has just galactically exploded like a seismic charge from Boba Fett's spaceship. We've just got so much anime. We love anime, and we've got tons of it, from reviews to historical things, 30th anniversary of Evangelion, you name it, it's just there. And this is not the only page. If you go to the archives, The archives will break you in. There's just tons. Like you type the word anime, there's anime, just endless. All these are archives per month. Going back, this is our 5th year having the new site operational from the dark times before the empire. Yeah, so this thing is ramped full throttle, and we're going to be bringing you even more content. And we're thinking about having some more correspondence because it's a lot of work for me to do everything. And Mars and me have been hustling like nobody's business to bring you the fans all the quality content. It's fun. I love this. This is a full-time job for me, and it's absolutely amazing. Of course, it does take a little scratch to get it going. So if you want to sponsor us or want us to come to your event and cover using this network we have built, thanks to you, the fans, please hire us. We do have other options beyond just marketing. We do speaking. I can speak at your event, host your panels, whatever y'all need. We're ready to game to go. We have full capability to market you, of course, as you see here. We also have the personnel, if need be, hired, whether it's videography, graphics design, marketing, promotions, cross promotions, a wide gauntlet of things that we can provide you. If you're an event, if you're an expo or a fan-based expo, fan expo maybe, if you're a independent consulting company that wants to, like a magazine that needs more readership, if you're an actor, want to get the word, if you would like to be on this live stream, feel free to contact. We're looking for guests weekly, as not only are we on our own channels simulcasting, we're also on Subspace Radio Network, and maybe there's some other collaborations in the future pipeline, near future, that we have not yet announced too. So stay tuned for that. There's a lot of playability here. Our goal over this next year or so is to take this thing to the next level. As you've always seen, it's formerly of Sci-Fi Channel, SciFiction, and it is just getting just amazing, more and more stuff. Well, I think our guests are starting to pour in. They're in the Quantum Leap waiting room. Let's wait for Michael to join us. We've got some comments here. We've got a lot of questions. Some fans have submitted some as well, which we're looking forward to bringing those to the fan base here. Hold on just a second here while we get all thrusters going. Hope everybody's having a beautiful weekend, or beginnings of the weekend, rather. There's a lot of stuff going on in the sci-fi world. They just dropped Fallout. Wonder Man's going to be coming out. Let's see what else. They've got just tons of stuff. Blockbusters have been going out. Michael just joined us. They're both in the Quantum Leap waiting room. So let me bring them on here. Hold on just a second. Let's see what we got here. Bring everybody on. Ready? Rock and roll. Ladies first. Ashlee, how is your day going, Ashlee?
It's great. It's 8 a.m. in Brisbane. So early start on a Saturday. Yeah.
And here is Michael.
Yes.
So get these. There we go. Now we can see you. How's it going, sir? How's it going?
Very good. How's it going, guys?
Doing good, doing good. We're just going over all the sci-fi goodies and all the sci-fi ecosphere of everything and beyond, and there's a lot of it to cover. And y'all got a movie out. We've had fans submitting questions. I've got some as well. Let's bring these questions. We got tons of questions here. First off, Michael, you're the director, I believe, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Very cool. And you're the lead actress, I believe, in this film as well, which we watched it last night. It was absolutely phenomenal. I love the special effects and the visual and everything. Starting with you, Michael, when did Space-Time first click for you as a story that you had to tell? But we lost Michael.
Michael.
Well, we got questions for you, Ashlee, so we'll kill some time. We got tons of questions here. So we'll go to Ashlee.
Yeah.
What was your first reaction when you read the script for Space-Time?
So Michael came to see a play that I was doing. I was performing a comedy play for comedy fringe festivals around Australia called Five Lesbians Eating a Quiche. Okay. And and he came to see the play, and afterwards he spoke to me about this project that he had coming up, and he gave me the script, and I read it, loved it, didn't understand a lot of it. It took me a while to get my head around it. But my first thought was, this is too big for me. I'm not ready, and I actually did try to talk Michael out of casting me. I was like, no, you've got to get a name. You've got to get someone really famous. I was still up and coming. And I'm not ready. I'd done a few support roles and things like that, but this just seemed so big, and I wasn't sure. And Michael's like, "No, you'll live. Like, we're not doing it unless you do it." So I just had to trust Michael and Adam and throw myself in. But yeah, I definitely struggled with confidence throughout. So I was very lucky to have a team around me to kind of help me with that. But as soon as I committed, I was in. I immediately understood Liv. Michael and Adam had written her with me in mind. So there were already a few little Ash moments throughout and stuff. So she was very easy to connect with on a human level.
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job. I thought the movie was absolutely amazing. We've got Michael here. He's back in the Quantum Leap. Well, he's actually in the real flesh now.
We missed you.
I'm back.
It's all good. What excited you most about exploring time and reality through this film, Michael?
Oh man, I mean, there are so many things that were exciting in approaching it, but I think just trying to represent visually a lot of different science fiction concepts. When we were talking about the idea of how the space-time fold works and what it would look like, the idea is that reality is folding on itself, but what does somebody see when they're seeing it in the room, like if you're watching it? And that's how we came up with the concept of the plant stretching. The idea of 2 points in space folding together would look like something stretching out in front of us. So that was like one of the things that was just very exciting to imagine and then realize between what we shot on set and then visual effects. But I think that there's just like time travel in particular is such a fun device to play with. You get to go crazy with your imagination and come up with different scenarios of how people can interact with themselves or how things can be changed, and muck around with different sets of rules. I think there are a couple of different accepted time travel rules, whether it's Back to the Future 1 rules or Back to the Future 2 rules or Bill and Ted rules. There's so many different approaches, and so it was exciting to approach this sort of subject matter, just knowing there's so much already that's been done that we get to now play with. What's our spin going to be? How are we going to do bring something new to the table?
I love the engine thing. Speaking of the visual effects in space time, this question is: the visual effects in space time feel very international rather than overwhelming. How did you decide when to use those visual effects in versus practical or in camera techniques?
That's a really good question. I think it's always to pick the right tool for the job. So in a lot of cases, we tried to have things on set so that as much as was real was there as possible. It's better for the actors. It's better for framing. It's better just for, when you've got something in front of you, it just is easier to figure out your coverage and find the shot. But in many cases, we were replacing things with visual effects, or we were extending sets with visual effects. There was lots of let's say we'd have like one location as one part of a building and another location way over the other side of Brisbane that would, you go through a door and come out the other side, or there'd be a window, and it all sort of connected. And so that was all really carefully planned digital effects to say, this window will now be added to this wall in this space, and make many different places and sets all sort of combine as though they're one big facility. But yeah, it's really just a question of looking at what you're wanting to achieve and then talking through between the design department and then the visual effects department and figuring out the right way to do it. And especially for our budget, we're a very small budget film. We don't have the resources of a big Hollywood production. This is a scrappy indie sci-fi. So also there's instances where you would love to have done something practically, and then it ends up being the best solution just for our budget is fill something in digitally. And that's often the case with any of the environment replacements.
Technology is so advanced now, you can do that easier than you could before with green screen and all that.
That's right. Yeah, we're in a great time for indie filmmaking, where those tools that used to be only the tools of the big Hollywood productions, you now can do on your home computer. And so it's a really great time for filmmakers with wild imaginations and that want to create really crazy visuals.
Speaking of visuals and universes, this one's for Ashlee. Sci-fi can be very technical. How did you stay grounded emotionally in the role that you played?
It's a great question, and I think I just had to simplify every moment and constantly bring her back to the human experience she was having within these scenes, because everything was so much bigger than her around her. But at the end of the day, it's about Liv's experience and what she's fighting for in those moments, and keeping that objective really clear so that she's then able to navigate tactics and characters that are coming in and the engine and things like that. When we were on set, we did have to use a lot of imagination, especially in that sort of third act when we get into time travel territory, because the engine was a green screen and it would be behind us, but we're interacting with something that wasn't there. The engine is essentially another character in the film, and we have a
But it
relationship
is.
with the engine. Yeah, and it wasn't there. So, we were both using our imaginations to interact with this third character in that part of the film, with Michael then behind the split yelling out cues for us to then be responding to and reacting to. So it felt present, the engine, and it felt like a character in the space, even though it wasn't, physically there. And it was just people walking around with a green screen. We have a huge green screen on the back wall and things like that. But it was always just bringing myself back into those moments and not getting too far ahead of myself, really focusing on I'd go home at the end of a shoot day and just really focus on what was coming up the next day. Often things would change, as with a lot of indie productions, you sort of get on set and the plan goes out the window because of weather or, something like that. And you just have to go with the flow. So I just had to be so prepared on an emotional level with Liv, I think, and just go, where is she at? How is she feeling right now? What does she actually want in this moment, as opposed to the big picture?
True.
So, yeah.
The film, this one's for Michael. Was there a moment during filming where the story or performance surprised you?
Oh, every day. I mean, the great delight of filmmaking is that you put all the elements on the table, you do your best to prepare, you do your best to design, you do your best to make it exactly what's in your head, and then you press go and you just see how all the elements bounce off each other and come together. So it was constantly surprising, in a really wonderful, exciting way. As Ash said, we had written the role of Liv for Ash and had always felt like she was the only person that could play it. So I had a really clear idea in my mind of like, this is what I want Liv to be, and I know Ash is going to nail that. But Ash was constantly surprising both Adam and I, because she gets some really tricky dialogue. There's some a lot of the weight of that third act is on her shoulders. Hugh as Holt has these big speeches that sort of explain things, but it's really Ash's character Liv that is making the moment to moment of it all work. And we were constantly surprised and thrilled by just how effortless she makes it. It all like Adam and I, certainly in the writing, we always talked about, we want it kind of, it's always got to be fun. It's always got to be relatable. It's always got to feel easy, even though it's timey-wimey, complicated stuff. And so, yeah, I was just constantly like, oh God, Ash is the secret weapon. Because on paper, there's all this timey-wimey jargon dialogue, and she's just making it feel so easy and natural. So that was one of the big surprises. But yeah, it's constant. There's just things looking great, costumes looking incredible, like all these
really
little
good.
like, yeah, it's as I say, it's the great delight of filmmaking is the discovery and the surprise.
Speaking of filmmaking, this question is for Ashlee. Let's see, where was this one? I got a whole bunch of questions. What do you hope audience? Well, no, there's that. What do you hope audiences feel or relate to most when they watch your performance?
I hope they think that she's right. I hope they're on her side. I think, but I think Holt and Liv are both they both sort of want the same thing, really. They just have very different ways of going about it. I just hope they relate to who she is as a person, and she's not, she's incredibly intelligent. She's fighting for something that she believes in. The stakes are high, but on a human level, she's just a girl. She's a brizzy girl who's relatable and flawed, and doesn't always make the right decisions and things, but it's what is she willing to sacrifice for what she believes in, and things like that. So just that human struggle, I guess, of a young woman sort of navigating also an industry that isn't necessarily always welcoming to her, and she's just sort of finding her own feet and finding her way through, and things like that as well. So yeah, I just sort of hope they can relate to the human side of her. And yeah,
the film takes place, I believe, a little bit in the future. Speaking of the film, this is for Michael. Can you talk about your this is a really good question, I thought. Can you talk about your collaboration with the cinematographer and how camera movement, lighting, and framing help shape the film's sense of time and space?
I definitely can. So Daniel Maddock is our cinematographer, and he and I had worked on several short films before this, and I do think had been sort of building to our feature for a long time, our first feature together in space time. Being a low budget film, we didn't really have much in the way of any film lighting. Almost all of the lighting of the film is practical lighting on set. It's natural lighting with small lights just to sort of amplify here or there. And so really, he was a big part of the pre-production process, and it was he and I going around to all the different locations and talking through where the visual opportunity is, what time of day, what conditions would look best. And so I remember, like, when we first found the warehouse, which quite a bit of the film takes place in, and it's quite large, and there's all these different panels and like windows and some skylights and all these things. And he and I just walked around a few days before, and we're just sort of talking through, like, okay, so if we set something here at this time of day and someone standing here and someone standing here, you're going to get great light through the window over these hours. And then we go upstairs, like, right, if you shoot at this time and this time, it's going to look terrible. But if we can try and do it in this window, it'll look like we had light, look lit. And so we really were trying to make sure that, okay, right, let's set this scene here, and I'll make sure that fits there in the schedule, and really just make the most of what we had. And yeah, to our great delight, everybody seems, I think it usually shocks people when I tell them how little we had in the way of.
Well, we lost him. What happened? Blasted out to time traveled it up. Well, and bring back. While we have you here, Ashlee, got a question. Well, here he is. He's time traveling all over the place here.
He's all over the place.
I love it.
Forward, back.
There he is. Here's
all right, I'm back from the time tunnel.
We're going to add the time tunnel.
So it was really maximizing what we had there naturally, which was great. And then in terms of the movement, I mean, I love. I felt like for this film in particular, it was very appropriate. But I love it when I love complicated or interesting blocking. I really love a moving camera, and I knew that it would help us a lot to keep the camera moving, because again, low budget indie film, you're always like. I felt like some things might look, it's not that look cheap necessarily, but I knew that if I kept the camera moving, we'd always have a feeling of momentum, and it would help us to never let your eyes settle on any one thing that might not be exactly as we'd have liked it, in terms of like location or if a set hadn't been quite as spectacular as we wanted. But also, it was so much a part of telling the story from Liv's perspective, and it was really clear, especially the way that Ash moves, and it's quite a physical role. One of my favorite sequences.
Too,
Say again, sorry.
Especially towards the end of the film when they're running.
Oh yeah, definitely. But even like at the start, like the sequence of her showing Harris around the facility, they're up and moving the whole time, and Liv is leading, and like. Harris trying to keep up, and that's right. And it's kind of this, it's very energetic, and it just was very natural and organic for us to have a moving camera, because Liv is someone that sort of is a few steps ahead and is moving quickly, and Harris can't even keep up. So it was a practical consideration in that it was going to help us from sort of revealing the sticky tape that was holding some of the world together, which again, just classic indie filmmaking. But also it was so appropriate for the perspective of our lead character.
Speaking of the lead character, just curious, what was it like collaborating with Michael Halloran on set?
Michael, I was going to make a joke there, but he's amazing. Michael is one of those directors that every actor dreams of working with. So such a clear vision, but so collaborative as well, and just allowed space for things to happen organically and grow in the moment, while still, making sure that things were done and things were organized and people were looked after, and wearing so many hats on set every day. We were also very lucky, we already had a working relationship beforehand, so that really helped. We had a dialogue, we had a friendship as well, so it was great, and really respected each other before even going into this process. And we knew, when we were in, it was just going to be like, we sort of said goodbye to our friends and families, and we're like, we'll see you on the other side, because it was just, it was just us. It was everyone that was on that film together. We saw no one else. We ate together. We, slept very
Working
literally.
hard, it looks like.
Yeah. So we were just in it, and it was the most amazing experience I've ever had because of Michael. So yeah, it's
Compliment, man. It's a good compliment.
Yeah, I'll be forever grateful to Michael for convincing me that I should play Luke. Yeah.
Well, I got a question. This one's for you, Michael, and maybe y'all both can answer this. But we talked about the visual effects and the acting. Sound plays a huge role in immersing the audience. How did sound design and music work together to enhance the emotional and sci-fi elements of the story?
Oh, well, I mean, sound is everything, in that if you can have the most beautiful pictures, you can have the most emotional, real performance, and if the sound is no good, it lets the whole thing down. It really is one of the most important invisible elements. We knew going in that sound was going to be a huge component because of just science fiction. I think generally, there is an expectation when it comes to sound and sound design.
Cool sounds out there in sci-fi.
yeah, there is. It's a very high bar, and there's so much cool sound. Like it's funny. One of my favorite films is the Spielberg War of the Worlds, and like you talk to people about that, and all like the first thing people talk about isn't Cruise's performance or the design of the tripods. It's that sound of the horn before the tripod attacks.
Horrifying.
It's hard. Yeah, it is, and it's just like it's a sound effect, but it's so memorable. So yeah, we went into this with a real knowledge that sound would be a big part of the process, between things like the engine design, the way that we were going to muck with time and space. Visually knew that would have to have a sonic identity that was interesting, and sort of our contribution to the sci-fi sound palette. And then music, yeah. I like to think of that as a palette. And then music was a huge part for us too, because the other
it was good too. Who did the music?
Good. So the composer's name is Adrian Diary. He's actually also the sound supervisor, so he was in charge of both the sound effects and dialogue and everything, and then also composed the music. But it was a big part of our design of the film early, that this was meant to be a bit of an old-fashioned film. It was meant to remind you a little of those sci-fis from the 80s and 90s, but through an indie lens, I suppose. So a lot of our musical discussions were about giving it a bit of an old-fashioned feel, and making sure the audience knew they could have fun, wanting to be in that sort of zone of Back to the Future.
All Bill and Ted, all the good films. Is he there?
Serious tone, have a bit of that fun as well. So the design of the music conceptually was always to have something melodic, to have something that was present. No one will ever accuse me of being subtle with the use of music. I'm pretty liberal in how I like to use score. I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, again, Adrian's a genius, and I set the bar very high in terms of the musical references
I like too that the sound for like the engine and everything else was very tasteful. It wasn't overwhelming like you had, and the dialogue was it's more focused on the characters in that sense. This is a question for. Let me go back here for Ashlee. How did you connect personally with your character's journey through time and uncertainty? Yeah. We got Michael. I think she froze in a block of carbonite there.
Yeah.
We'll ask you a question. We got tons of questions here. Is she there? So we got. Hey, she's in the secondary window. We got a clone now. We got two of you. There's clones.
Future living past live.
Oh no!
We'll keep her on there, man. This is kind of cool, dude.
Yeah.
I don't see the other. Oh wait.
She managed to see time and space.
Yeah.
I actually think we've got a huge storm coming to Brisbane.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all good. Let me go back here. Where was it here? Okay, here. Hold on. What can you talk about? See, where is it? That's her question. Okay. How did you connect personally with your character's journey through time and uncertainty?
Time and uncertainty. I'm always uncertain, so that was easy. I think again, it just came down to simplifying every moment, and I think the stakes are very high. We're looking at the state of the earth and where it's at, and then Liv looking at her capabilities as this physicist engineer and what she is capable of doing to contribute to humanity. And I guess in small ways looking at my own capabilities, how I'm able to contribute to humanity on a day-to-day basis, in those little moments. I'm not someone who can save the world, like my character can, but you're bringing it down to those little moments, maybe if I'm given the opportunity, those little moments, and what are you willing to sacrifice for what you know and think is right. So, she puts her relationship on hold. She does all of these things in her life to keep moving forward for what she believes in. And I guess that's quite similar in a lot of ways to working in this industry, in this career. Yes. So much is uncertain. Sometimes you say no to things because your gut tells you to say no to things, and then you go, oh shit, have I done the right thing? Or, sometimes relationships suffer or friendships suffer, or, you can't go to certain things because work has to sort of come first a lot of the time. So, do we ever really find balance, especially when you work in a creative industry? Right. So I'm very lucky that I've got family and friends that are very understanding of
that's good
of my life and career. And, they're always very like, we'll see you on the other side, like I said before. But yeah, I think it's just relating to those, once again, human experiences that Liv has throughout the film. And yeah.
Well, this is for kind of both of you. I just came up with this question right out of the top of my head. You talk about this being an indie film, and you've got a lot of, modern day film technique and film tools are way more advanced now. You can do a lot of storytelling with. Just curious for Michael, starting with you, what do you see for like the future of not just sci-fi, but indie filmmakers in general being able to have access to all of these modern tools where they don't have to have the big budgets as much as they used to and all that?
I think it's extremely exciting. I think we're seeing more and more filmmakers now, getting their hands on tools and being able to realize their visions. But the great thing about that, when the tools become more accessible and when things like visual effects aren't as far, right, they're now possible for them. The great thing is it then becomes more about the vision. It becomes about the storytelling. And so I think we're going to see a real, and we're already seeing it, I think, in independent film, we're just seeing more interesting stories being told. We're seeing new voices, and we're seeing them more easily, not just...
Sometimes even better than the modern stuff. Everybody's trying to reboot everything.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I think audiences are getting tired of seeing the same story told over and over again. And I do think that there is a real like if you want something fresh, if you want something original, the place to look is the indie space. And again, the what separates an indie production from a big Hollywood production, like these days, you can't really tell the difference. Like from a technical side, like they're really starting to, the line is blurring.
And the camera technology is so more advanced. Like you even got cell phones that have like 16K resolution, like on a D7 on. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's great. Like it's a cliche, but you've got a cinema worthy camera in your pocket now. Like that really is true. So yeah, I think it's a very exciting. I'm very excited about the future of indie film, especially. I think that it's just a great time to be able to realize your dream and tell your story in your unique way.
I've talked to people, not just with filmmaking, but they've, people that, all these influencers and creators. You talk about the phone being in the pocket of your palm of your hand and in your pocket. That phone is, believe it or not, I've heard many people say, including some old associates, that particular phone, whatever brand it is basically a tool that you can create a massive, like you saw Success Magazine, and it's an empire building tool. You can take that tool. It's a portable broadcast production studio. You can stream, you can surf, you can chat, you can text, you can do all this stuff, which gives the modern generation, the youth and adults, the ability to basically follow their dreams, not only through filmmaking, in my opinion, but just storytelling in general. Which brings this question. This could be maybe a Michael question, I think. This was for Michael. What was the biggest technical or creative challenge in balancing visual effects, cinematography, and sound into one cohesive cinematic experience?
What was the biggest? I mean, really, it was tough overall because, of course, the other challenge you're facing, in my case here, is it's the first time I've made a feature film. So it's also the challenge of doing all of that over 24 days of shooting. So you're not only trying to balance all those elements just in terms of the final piece, but just trying to keep it consistent as you get deeper and deeper into a shoot, where you're getting more and more exhausted and things are changing on the fly. As Ash said, like there are all these little pieces that are shifting around and you're like trying to hold on to that big picture. But of course, it's also about having a fantastic team behind you. And so I'm one of three producers. The other producers, Jai Hogg and Adam Harmer. Adam co-wrote the story with me as well. It's our screenplay. And so I was well supported throughout by both of the producers there, both helping me just focus on keeping those creative elements together. Of course, the cast in Ash and Hugh and Pacharo, they were all so supportive and keen to make sure that I was getting what I needed to tell the story. And then, on the cinematography sound side, everybody was just, they got the vision. They were excited by the vision. I think you say what we're trying to do and how you're doing it, I think for a lot of people that just clicked and they were like, oh, I see what we're going for here. Got it. And so I always just felt very supported when it came to realizing that and keeping the elements together. So it was all a challenge, but the answer is surround yourself with very intelligent, clever people.
Yeah, that's what Henry Ford did. The same thing. It's a very wise statement you just said there.
Yeah,
I got to ask. I mean, we're talking sci-fi and space and time. Starting with you, Ashlee, were there any particular sci-fis or things you enjoyed growing up or now that you're kind of like, wow, it's really cool, what you really enjoyed or still enjoy?
I did. I revisited a lot leading up to filming Space Time. Interstellar was one that I really connected with in the lead up to Space Time as well. And I think even just that score and having the performances kind of matching that.
Hans Zimmer.
I really connected to that a lot. And even just listening to the score and the lead up in the car when I was driving, it kind of just gave me that feeling of, it's quite epic and big, but it's still very emotional and real. So that was one that I really I watched a fair bit.
What about you, Michael? Anything that you've seen that you really enjoy, or something from days past going back in time?
Oh, how much time do you have? I mean,
At
that
about
is a long list.
7.5 minutes was right here, and it's
Yeah.
on the radio in Subspace this coming
All
week.
right. No, I've looked at we, especially in thinking about space time. Look, I've referenced a few time travel films already, but you
Mhm.
always go back to things like 2001: A Space Odyssey. That was a big.
Hubert.
Like, that's one of my favorites, of course. It's one of the best films ever made, and so you've always got that on your mind when you're designing sci-fi visuals. I'm definitely. I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And again, that's another. One tonally in terms of like the use of music that was was very much on my mind.
Plus, they pioneered all those Dijkstra effects and technology.
Yeah.
It's all they created all that technology.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. We were constantly thinking about the work that they did between the original Star Wars trilogy and even honestly the prequels, like just that
Most people don't know
pioneering spirit.
there's not as much CGI as you think in those prequels. A lot of
That's
miniature
right.
models and optical effects.
Absolutely, yeah. It's some of the best visual effects work that you just don't even notice going on in those in the prequels. But I mean, it's everything. Like we were thinking about Jurassic Park in terms of the island lab, and there's no dinosaurs in space time, but that was a big
cool though.
On my mind. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's in part two. But like thinking about the island lab and all of that, like we're thinking about that. We're thinking about Lost. Quite a bit. So Justin Legerett, who's our visual effects supervisor, the man responsible for all the effects in the film, he's a big Lost fan, and he and I would regularly be talking about that as a reference between both as the edit was coming together, but also just visually. Indiana Jones is always on my mind, and so anytime
you see the last one, of course, right?
I did see the last one. I did, yes, yeah. No, I'm actually. You can see. I don't know if you can see my background. There's a Holy Grail, and there's.
Yeah. Let me see if I can bring you up full screen on that. I got all the controls.
That shelf has probably got a whole bunch of the things I love hiding on it.
Well, so many screens there. So all these controls here. We'll bring everybody up to the squares there again.
Yeah. But there's so many of the films that I love, and also like there's little winks and references all through the film. 12 Monkeys was a very big reference for me as well. Another great time travel, and actually speaking of Bruce Willis and time travel, Looper is another one that I keep coming back to.
That's really the one where they had himself as the younger version of himself, and he was the older version of himself.
Yeah, exactly. So that was another one. I mean, there's just so many. Ash referenced Interstellar. That was big because that really.
I loved before. I want to mention this because I just remembered this when I was seeing the tunnel. When you were going through the tunnel, it kind of reminded me of what's that show, Sliders from back in the 90s.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I loved Sliders growing up. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, look, we're drawing on so much. There's this huge. Huge amount of science fiction and visuals and shorthand. In fact, it's quite interesting when we revealed the engine first in trailers and things, just seeing how many people are like, oh, it's a Stargate. And we're like, oh, it's definitely not a Stargate. Like, it's not. Like, they don't go in, it emits. But it was such a like, oh, we just have such a expectation and shorthand on visuals now. It's very interesting that like, oh, people see a big round thing and go, that's a Stargate. Which for us, it was really like, no, it's the back of a Star Destroyer. It's like the engine on the back of a starship. So it's interesting sort of getting to play with, as I say, there's this huge collection of different science fiction influences and film influences, and sort of decide what you want to do and what you're going to bring from this thing you love and how you're going to put your twist on it. And as I say, I could talk for hours and hours.
We're going to come back. Just side question real quick. We got about 3 minutes. Yeah. First off, where do people find Space Time on the internet? Is it streaming or?
Yeah, so we've just had our North American video on demand release. So really, if you go to spacetimemovie.com, we've got all the links there. So there's a big button for anyone in North America. As soon as you arrive, that'll take you to our distributor's website, and they've got all the different platforms it's available on: Apple, Amazon, the whole lot. And if you're in Australia and New Zealand, same again, you just go to spacetimemovie.com. You'll find all the links to the different platforms that have got the film. There it is. There's our website.
Spacetimemovie.com. There it is right there.
So yeah, you check that out. All the info's there. There's a lot of fun things, little bits of behind the scenes, some video, and links to listen to the score and all sorts of things.
Yeah, the film's absolutely amazing. I want to thank y'all for joining us on today's broadcast. Just curious, I have to ask, is there going to be any continuation in this universe, you think, in times to come?
I look, truthfully, I'm not sure. I love the idea that, because the movie has, I don't want to spoil the ending, but I like where the movie leaves things. And I like that it ends on a note of infinite possibility. And while it's tempting to want to explore that possibility in another film, I also really like the idea of, where Liv is by the end of the film. And again, I don't want to give anything away, but where she is, she's learned what she needs to learn to move forward. And I like leaving that as an unknown. So I will never rule it out completely, but I certainly, for now at least, having just completed and released it, I'm pretty happy with where the story ends. And we'll see. Ask me again in a couple of years. We'll it might be a different
up the line and see if we
exactly.
I want to thank you, Ashlee and Michael, for joining us, and you, the fans, everybody. We'll see you soon. And if you're listening to this on Subspace Radio Network, we will be airing this on 7 p.m. CST, 8 p.m. Eastern on next Wednesday. Thank y'all so much for joining. Y'all have a beautiful evening or morning.
Thank you so much for having us. Yes.
Thank you.